Welcome everyone to the 2020 induction of our Pickleball Hall of Fame. This is our fourth year doing it and our first one doing it virtually. So welcome and thanks you all for joining. This is an incredible class. Our three competitors have a total of 125 gold medals at US Open, Nationals, TOC, and Huntsman. That's an unbelievable accomplishment for this year's class. I'm not quite sure we'll ever see that again in any future class of inductees. And to top it off, we've got the final inventor of the game also inducted finally as a contributor. So this is just a phenomenal class. I'm thrilled that we've been able to at least set this up so that we could honor those that are so deserving, and we have the technology obviously to do that because of COVID. But next year we will be inviting all of our current inductees to join the 2021 class of inductees, and obviously more information as far as dates and location and all that will be coming up shortly. So without further ado, our agenda for tonight follows pretty much what we've done each and every year. Rather than having the inductees select somebody as a presenter, this year we're going to have our board. Each one of our board members will introduce the inductee. The inductee will then say a few things about what this means to them, and the floor is really yours, so you can say whatever it is that you like. Just remember, we are recording, and this will be posted up on our website and social media as well. So I'm going to introduce Steve Paranto. Steve is going to be introducing the Bell family, who will be accepting this award on behalf of Bill Bell, the third and final inventor of this great game that all of us love so much. Go ahead, Steve, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, thank you. I've written down notes just to remind me of that I cover everything, but I don't want to be the kind of person who just stands here and reads, so I'm just going to have some reminders. First off, I don't need a reminder for this. I'm so honored to introduce Bill Bell to the Hall of Fame, because inventors, founders of sports have always held a big place in my heart. As great of a class as this is, I mean, it's an amazing class of inductees. I'm really honored to introduce Bill Bell. I almost have to pinch myself that I get to do this, because when I was a kid in 6th grade, I was a teacher for 30 years, and I remember my teachers. So Mrs. Kaler, she probably was in her 20s. We probably thought she was really old. She knew that I didn't really care to read much, and I was into basketball at the time. And she gave me books on basketball, and one of them was on the inventor of basketball, James Naismith. And that made a big impact on my life, thinking, you mean you can invent a game? You know, when you're a 6th grader, you think, wow. So I was so interested in this man's life because I was a basketball player. And he was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame, which is named after him, James Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame, many years later, and you know, after he had passed away. And you know, Bill Bell has also passed away, and this actually happens to be very similar years. Keep your clothes on, Stephanie.
Wow. I'm just adding a shirt. I'm adding a shirt.
Don't get too excited, Steve.
Stephanie, we're recording, remember? Come on, girl.
Oh, yeah.
Remember what happened at CNN now. Be careful.
Well, since this is being recorded, that'll be the funny portion of this, I guess. But
Yeah.
anyway, and then my dad being an inventor, and Dad and I invented things together. Inventors, founders of sports have always held high regard to me. And so I'm just so excited that I get to introduce Bill Bell. Told you about James Naismith. So that basketball was invented in 1891.
I believe
the
that
Hall of
we've got
Fame-
the plaque that the Bell family has received, and this is probably Joel Bell. Is that correct, Joel?
Correct.
And he's sharing the plaque that Bill was sent.
Nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the reason, another reason I'm so excited to introduce Bill Bell to the Hall of Fame, there is a very good chance we wouldn't be even having this meeting today if it wasn't for Bill Bell being in the mix with Joel Pritchard and Barney McCallum. I mean, it sounds like we probably wouldn't all be sitting here having this meeting because pickleball wouldn't be the sport we know of it today. There's a very good chance Bill Bell was the one that decided to create the no volley zone, the no volley line. Well, if we didn't have that, pickleball is just mini tennis, is spec tennis, is all the other tennis small games wouldn't have the uniqueness that it does. And we all know that that's what's made our sport, this big, huge, popular sport it is that no volley zone and the double bounce rule. And there's a lot of evidence that Bill Bell played a big part of that. And so when you think about all of us in this meeting,
I don't want to be.
how our lives have changed because of pickleball, he may have had a big portion of that. So very, very happy to be doing this. Bill was also considered our first ambassador of the sport because he introduced it to Southeast Asia, to Australia, and in some of these countries convinced hotels to even turn tennis courts into pickleball courts. Wow, can you imagine anybody doing that? and that's what we're doing today. That's making pickleball the great sport it is. So really, I'm just pleased as I could be. Pickled, yeah, I am pickled.
Have a drink.
Yeah.
Me too.
Anyway, I'm just so pleased to be here in this meeting and to get to introduce Bill Bell. So Joel, it's all yours now.
Oh, I can confirm.
Ask Joel to read the plaque, read the inscription on the plaque. We usually do that in the ceremony.
Okay. The Pickleball Hall of Fame is proud to award this expression of esteem and appreciation to Bill Bell, class of 2020, in recognition of his contributions as one of the original founders of pickleball in 1965 and as their first international promoter of pickleball, presented November 2020.
Nice.
Can we all just raise our glasses and give a toast to Bill Bell, who is no longer with us, but his family certainly is. We always have a cocktail hour beforehand, and this being our first.
I think he invented that too.
All right, my kind of guy, Bill Bell.
Here's to Bill.
I can confirm that when we moved from Seattle to New York, from New York to Indonesia, at the time, the company built a house, and Dad insisted that the house not only have a pickleball court, the house was built around it. So there is a court, and then if you can imagine, three arms of a house, and hosted parties. So the Indonesian International Badminton, Olympic Badminton squad, minor Davis Cup tennis players, anybody that he could con to coming over. Everybody played and gathered at the house. So it was international but he built a house around a court. So that's how we grew up.
That's what I want to do. I have my backyard as a court, but I want to have an indoor court that is the major part of the home.
Right.
So great.
Right. I can't think of anything. I think you're probably right. The thing about the double bounce, the no volley zone is, it might have been written somewhere, but it really perfectly suited his kind of mischief. And I'm sure he just conned it up spontaneously when he was losing. Originally, Jesus Christ, you can't do that. That kind of thing. I'm sure of it. Allison, is there anything you can think to say?
Well, I know the no volley zone came because the Brown brothers were so tall. They just stood
That's right.
and volleyed everything. And so the old guys said, no, we can't have that. So they created they said, you can't go past this line. And they took 2 pieces of chalk and they made the line. And that was the end of that.
And we all know the story. The height of the net was Joel's hip, right?
So as they say, yeah.
Okay.
As far as I know.
I think we've this last summer, with the inauguration of pickleball being included in the Senior Olympics, we've heard all of the apocryphal stories that there are. I don't think there's any nefarious tale that hasn't been uncovered and exposed, about this game that Uncle Joel, and I'm named after Joel Pritchard, that Joel and Dad and Barney sort of drummed up. So I don't think there's any hidden gems or nefarious details. We know all the stories.
I think it's great that three close buddies came up with this game together, and probably each one of them had something to contribute, because it's, and that's the way invention happens. If we wouldn't have, to me, it's like, I'm a big Beatles fan. What if we wouldn't have had John and Paul meet, in 1958, right? So this is, to me, like the Liverpool, John, Paul, George moment with these great, these inventors creating this sport.
That's an amazing analogy. I would just to add a detail that everybody can experience. These people, they like to play. They really just like to play, whether it was scheming or whether it was competitive. And if you look at one of these, probably the photos available on the Hall of Fame website or in the material surrounding pickleball, there's an early black and white shot of a young Frank Pritchard, the guy who challenged his father to invent a game. And there's a picture of Joel. And if you look real carefully, it's not hard, Joel has a tennis shoe on and then a brown loafer on the other foot. And it's really this nice little insight. Like, he just wanted to hit the goddamn ball. He didn't care, he couldn't find the other shoe. And so, hey, let's go hit the ball. And he grabbed whatever was there, and it didn't matter. And that's exactly the esprit of who these guys were. There were no, I think at one time Barney suggested that the uniform for women should be an orange jumpsuit. That was Barney's suggestion at one point. Like, that's how goofy they were. So that's the spirit of how it, in 1965 and 66 and on all that, that's the spirit of how it arrived.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great story.
Was the orange jumpsuit because they thought no woman could find one and they wanted to keep it a man's game?
I think the beauty, people who've met Barney, he was such a flirt and mildly saucy. And I think that was more the spirit of what he was saying.
I think he might have wanted it to have polka dots also.
You're right. I seem to recall that story too.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Joe, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
accepting your award on behalf of Bill and your family, and everything that your father did for the game. We're going to move on to our next inductee, and to present him, that is Wes Gabrielson.
All right. Well, it's good to see everyone here on the call. Before I talk about the esteemed Alex Hamner, who I have the honor of talking about this afternoon, evening, congratulations to the Bell family. Thank you for all you've done to create and help support this great game that we love. Hilary, the Queen of the Courts, congratulations to you on being inducted. And my good friend, Mr. Hackenberg, a class act all the way and one of the most intense competitors I've ever met. So congratulations to the three of you. Alex, my friend, before I share my thoughts, I've got almost my beer done already, but cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers to you, and I'm glad to see you were considering not having a drink at all, and there you are.
There we go. Alex is one of the most intense competitors I've ever met, but it's this internal competition. She's got this great laugh and this sweet exterior, and sometimes people think, oh, she's just happy-go-lucky, but she wants to win. And I got to experience, I think it was 2016, playing a lot of the big tournaments with Alex that year, and it was such a pleasure to play with you. I'm going to go over Alex's resume just real briefly, but it's a pretty extensive resume here. 13-time USAPA national champion, 8 silver medals, 3 bronze medals at nationals, which is incredible. 4 straight women's open doubles championships. That is something that I do not think we will ever see again. I think that's such an incredible feat in the sport, what you and Jen accomplished together. 4-time US Open champion, 3 silver medals, 2 bronze. Thank you for carrying us to the 2016 30 and over mixed doubles championship in that event. I had a great time teaming up with you. And then Alex is a 5-time TOC champion, 4 silvers and 2 bronze medals. So before I go on, let's give her a cheers for that.
Yay.
Cheers to that awesome resume.
Thank you, Wes.
You bet. Unbelievable. In addition to her great career as a player, she's been a contributor and a promoter of the sport with Pickleball Channel, working with them on videos and analysis, and then through her writing with articles in Pickleball Magazine. But what I'm going to touch on last is the reasons why I think Alex Hamner is a legend in pickleball. And it's kind of amazing to think about someone starting to play in 2010 and playing for 10 years and being a legend in 10 years, right? We think about a lot of sports where people play 30, 40 years and are considered a legend, but she's really accomplished a lot in her 10 years and will continue to rack up all of those titles. So she started to play in 2010. It's my understanding that after 3 months of playing only, is that correct, Alex? You went to nationals after playing for 3 months?
Right.
Yeah, and finished 4th in the women's open division, which is incredible. And I think, you and Jen probably had this realization where, 4th was a little too low for where you wanted to go. And the next year it was time to win it. And between 2011 and 2014 is when you had that streak of 4 titles in a row. So your second ever nationals, and you started that really impressive streak. I think a lot of people who get into pickleball, I know myself included, and a lot of the people on the call, when you start out, you think, who are these top iconic teams in pickleball? And it was Alex and Jen, right? You were that team that everyone kind of looked up to, both in the men's and women's side, and your chemistry and your friendship, and helped a lot of us realize how important chemistry is in this sport when we play doubles, both on and off the court. You're still competing and playing at the highest level. What really impresses me is that, when the senior pro bracket was introduced, you kind of dabbled a little bit in the senior pro mixed, but then after a while you're like, I'm just going to play with the young pros. And, I played against you last year at nationals. I'm telling everyone on the call, her game is at a top-notch level. And I believe you and Tyler you finished like top 5, right? The last couple of years at nationals.
Yeah. In fact, I think we tied for 5th last year with you and Corinne.
Yeah. You did. And I know that a lot of people who play in the senior mixed pro are probably really thankful you didn't play in the senior mixed pro, because that gave them a little better chance to get on that medal stand. Because there's no doubt in my mind you would be on there every year. What also is really impressive about you is that as more and more people have shifted to being full-time pickleball coaches and pros. I mean, I know you and your husband have your CPA practice and have done that for over 25 years. And you're not playing as many tournaments throughout the year as everyone else, but you're still in that top tier and you're still on the medal stand and winning titles. And I think that's really hard to do right now. And it's really impressive, especially with how the game has developed. So I commend you on that. And then I think what also makes you this legend in our sport is a lot of people probably don't realize your connection with your kids in pickleball, and that I believe both of your sons are national champions in pickleball, right, Alex?
Yeah, they are. And my younger son actually has more gold medals than my older son. And part of that comes because they would play against each other, so somebody had to win. And as it turns out, once or twice it was my younger son beating my older son. So
there you go.
Yeah.
But I know that you're really, you and your husband are really proud of your boys and everything they've accomplished in life. But so cool to have multiple national champions in a family and to see your kids succeed and also navigate the waters of how they compete against each other. I'm sure that it made for some interesting evenings after those tournament days. But, just in conclusion, I think all of us realize, Alex, that like you are, you've been a good friend for a while in this sport to me. And I'm a fun loving person, but I'm also a straight shooter and I'm honest. And like you amongst, all of our other inductees are an epitome of what it means and what we want to see in a champion, in this sport. And I think all of us that got into this sport after you had started, and those who also probably were playing before, really respect you as a player, but also as a person, and the way that you conduct yourself. When you win, when you lose, it's the same Alex, and you are a classy champion. And I just want to thank you for being an awesome role model, to all of us, and appreciate the integrity with which you conduct yourself on and off the court. So thank you for that. As you often mention to me when we've played together, soft and supple wins the race, meaning you got to stay patient and you have to dink until we have that chance to attack. And then before I formally turn it over to you, I just want to give you your Alex Hamner salute when you win a big point. Yeah, we all see Alex do that. So congratulations, Alex. Love you, my friend. And let's raise our glasses to Alex.
Thank you very much, Wes. That's super sweet. And those of you that know me won't be surprised with the fact that made me tear up. So thank you. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
It's just super special. Definitely not something back in high school where they're like, where do you think you're going to be in 30 or 40 years? And of course, this would never have been anywhere on the radar. So it's just cool that pickleball has come into all of our lives. But very cool for me that it's come into mine. And thank you to all of you, Rith, and all your Hall of Fame volunteers. You guys have really, done a great job to bring this together and keep it going. And, the gifts you give all of us with our jackets and our plaques and our business cards and, the rings that we get. I don't know. Show your rings, Jim and Hilary.
Nice.
So I'm honored to be getting inducted and to have been able to play with so many of you and against many of you. Maybe not as happy to play against some of you. But it's great to be part of this year's class with Jim and Hilary and the third founder of our sport, Bill Bell. Words don't really particularly come to me too well, so just know that I'm honored and thank you. I do have to give a huge shout out and thank you, first of all, to my husband, Michael, who might be out there in Zoom land somewhere, and my boys, Troy and Chad, because they afforded me the opportunity, to feed this addiction of pickleball for the last decade plus. if I'd gotten, a lot of flack for leaving sometimes a week or more at a time, it would have been a lot harder to have as much fun as I've been having. So love them very much, and thank you. I do have to tell a funny story about, I think it was the first Nationals, 2012 maybe, when my boys played. And of course, you all know the story that, people make a little bit of fun of you for playing pickleball or going to a tournament, when they don't play or don't know much about it. And so I would get some of that ribbing from my kids, but they went and they played, and the draws were not, really big in the junior division back then. And they would play all three divisions, the mixed, the doubles and singles in the same day. So, they were 12 and 14, I think, athletes their whole lives. And so they played these three events and, did well. And the next day they walk out to the courts because, I'm playing again for like the fourth day in a row and with another day or two to go. They were so sore, they couldn't even walk. They actually, there was a slight hill out at Buckeye at Festival, a slight hill from like the bathrooms to get up to the courts. They found that it was easier for them to walk backwards. And so you would look around, it's like, look at those silly boys walking backwards around the courts, but they were so sore, and they had a little bit of appreciation for it. And they're like, how do you do this 4, 5, 6 days in a row? They were blown away because, of course, we would, start at 8 in the morning, get done at 8 or 10 o'clock at night, and they had their one day and they could barely function. So, a lot of people don't give pickleball athletes the love for being athletes, and they got it a little bit that day. So that's my little fun story on them. But back to other thank yous. There's 3 people in particular who truly, I would not be in this position at all, because Bob and Beverly Youngren, they taught me the game, and Bob continued to coach Jennifer and I for, well, even until yesterday, I'm sure, and until tomorrow. He's always happy to tell us what we could have done better or what we were doing wrong. But he also tells us lots of things that we do well, so that's great. So thank you to them. And I would have never even met Bob and Beverly if it hadn't been for Jennifer, because they are Jennifer Lucor's parents. And Jennifer is the one who's like, come on, Alex, let's play pickleball. Finally got me out there so Bob and Bev could teach us the game. And if I hadn't gotten dragged out there that summer day, I don't know if I'd be playing pickleball even today. So thank you, Bob and Bev. And back to Jennifer for a minute, who's also in the Hall of Fame, in case some people don't know that. She coerced me into playing our first tournament in the 2010 Nationals. And she also made me play mixed doubles, since she said, I was going to be there anyways, you might as well play. And somebody had asked me to play, and that was the awesome Tony Negretti. And while Jennifer and I did get 4th in that first Nationals, and Hilary might tell the story about how we got 4th because she and Yvonne beat us. Tony and I ended up with the silver medal. So I was completely clueless about the whole fact of that we would even get a medal. And then we got a silver plate. And then they handed me an envelope, and I turned to Tony, I'm like, what's in here? And we got money. I'm like, what the heck? Who even knew? So naturally I was hooked on tournaments. So without Jennifer taking me out there, and without Bob and Bev, showing me the ropes, I certainly wouldn't be here. So thank you to the 3 of you. Yeah, so anyways, enough for me. Other than to thank Riff again for your vision and your persistence to get this Hall of Fame off the ground several years ago. Keep it going strong. All your volunteers, you know, I know you guys put a lot of time and effort into it, and you do it all for the love of the game. And that's really awesome. And before I start crying even more, I have to say it's really special to be included in this Hall of Fame club with all of the prior inductees, as well as whoever, you know, down the road, because it's really cool. But to be in with the contributors as well, and especially Barney McCallum, who I know is smiling right now, and you know, love him so much, and so happy the three of them started this game. So there we go. Officially crying. Thanks, everybody.
Yay, Alex.
All right, cheers. Have a drink.
Go, Alex.
Cheers.
Okay, to present our next inductee, we're going to ask board member Andy Gensch to talk a little bit about Hilary. Andy, the floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Riff. Certainly a privilege to be here. I look forward to this day every year. I think it's the 4th year now, and so wish we could be in person, but we'll do this next year and have an even bigger celebration. But it's great to see everyone's smiling faces here, particularly yours, Hilary. Haven't seen you for a few years, and just so good to see you. And
You've got some chicken and pickles going on here.
yes, you do. Yes, we'll be down to see you real soon, and I see Charlie's on as well. So, Charlie, hope you're doing well. It's truly an honor to introduce you, Hilary. I think your accomplishments on the pickleball court and the other racket sports achievements are just unparalleled. And Steve, I'm going to be the guy that actually reads. The resume is so long, I would not do it justice if I took the cliff notes. So
Everybody has their own style, Andy, so
well,
yeah.
she is deserving of it, my friend. So bear with me here. This comes from her nomination form. So this is really, really good stuff. Hilary's the only athlete competing in pickleball who has national titles in 4 different paddle and racquetball sports. Tennis, she has 19 USTA national balls, 8 of which are national championship gold balls. Platform tennis, she has 11 APTA national championships and inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1998. Paddle tennis or pop tennis, 17 USPTA national championships and inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2012. And of course, 22 USAPA national titles in pickleball. And it'd be remiss if I didn't mention 25 Huntsman World Senior Game golds. So I put that record up against just about anybody. It's again, unparalleled in my opinion. She entered her first tournament, USAPA Nationals in Buckeye in 2009 without ever having played the game of pickleball. She was 59 years old and she won gold in 50-plus singles. The next year in 2010, she won 4 golds. The open women's doubles with Yvonne Hackenberg, 50-59 women's doubles, the 35-plus doubles with partner Mike Stahl, beating Enrique Ruiz and Christine Barksdale, and also 55-59 women's singles. She received the bronze in open women's singles that year as well. She also played all 3 events, women's, mixed, and singles. In 2016, she played the 50-plus women's singles at Nationals and got silver. She was 66 years old. Truly amazing. She has consistently played down in age and won her share of gold, without a doubt. At TOC, she was awarded in 2019 a special ring honoring her full 4 gold medals there from 2014 to 2016. She won those championships in the Legends 50-plus age division in all 3 events. Mixed doubles with 2 different partners, Mike Stahl and Scott Moore, women's doubles with Yvonne Hackenberg, and the Legends 50-plus singles. Hilary was 64 through 66 years old when winning these events at TOC. Since 2009, she has won 22 national championship gold medals in pickleball. She has taught the game of pickleball in Japan, England, France, Spain, Mexico, Costa Rica, Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, and her state of California, and her home state of Texas. There is only one permanent pickleball court in all of Corpus Christi, Texas, where she resides. It's at the Corpus Christi Country Club, and it's dedicated with a plaque in honor of Hilary Marold. Hilary has been on magazine covers, television shows, done radio. She was a drama major at the University of Southern California, had an agent and was doing TV commercials, all while competing in her various racket sports as a hobby. She made the second page sports section of the LA Times by beating Bobby Riggs in paddle tennis singles when she was 23 years old. Hilary takes Riggs to the cleaners 8-3. Sports Illustrated followed up. Then Billie Jean King put her on the cover of her magazine, Women's in Sports, with the tagline, Hillary Hilton, the other woman in Bobby Riggs' life. She has a corner designated to this match in the Bobby Riggs Museum, thanks to Steve and Jennifer Dawson. She went on to do television sports as an athlete and as an announcer. She competed on ABC's World Superstars as an athlete in 1975 and was the broadcaster along Al Michaels the following year, 1976. In 1978, she was hired to do color commentary in England for NBC's Wimbledon broadcast alongside Bud Collins and John Newcombe. In 78, she was the only woman rackets athlete invited to compete on a television show against 5 other world-class male athletes, the CBS World Racket Championships. In this broadcast, she had to play racquetball against Guillermo Vilas, who was at the time number 1 tennis, badminton against Sharif Khan, the number 1 world squash player, table tennis against Marty Hogan, who was the number 1 racquetball player in the world. And the other 2 male athletes were the badminton's number 1 Rudy Hartano and world table tennis champ Dan Seemiller. Hilary didn't disappoint. She did not come in last. She has had feature articles in People, Sports Illustrated, Sky, Racquetball, Paddle World, and has appeared as a guest on the David Letterman Show. We need to have her tell us about that one. And Tennis Magazine and various newspapers. Hilary has been an asset to the game of pickleball. She is a welcoming competitor who treats all her adversaries, win or lose, as the friends they already are, or in a short time, the friends they will be. Yes, she's a competitor, but long ago, she realized how important it is to be respected as a good person foremost. She received the USTA 2014 Senior Spirit of Texas Tennis Award, which was given to the player who, in addition to having a high sectional ranking, exemplifies the qualities of sportsmanship, enthusiasm, conditioning, resourcefulness, and cooperative spirit, most deserving the respect and honor of other players. If that resume doesn't embody the attributes and accomplishments of a Hall of Famer, I do not know what does. Please join me in congratulating Hilary into the 2020 class of the Pickleball Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Hilary.
Thank you, Andy. That was more than enough information, I'm sure, for everybody to handle. But when you get my age, I guess the information gets a little longer.
Very impressive.
But I am just so thankful for my partner, Yvonne Hackenberg, who got me into this sport. Now I'm going to probably cry, right, Alex?
Good, I love it.
But I don't know if Yvonne's on here with Jim. She probably is somewhere. But I want to see Yvonne.
There we go.
Most, yes, I play singles and I try to do well and I play mixed and all that. But every single title I have ever won that means anything to me is Yvonne Hackenberg. And I think probably in the Hall of Fame bylaws somewhere way back on page 66, it says I can't put 2 Hackenbergs in the same year because that's the only reason Yvonne isn't right next to me now. So Yvonne, you know what I think about you? And gosh, I think of my my 22 national gold medals, at least probably more than half of them are with Yvonne. So Yvonne, you know, and we played platform together. We have 3 national platform titles together. Yvonne is the person who called me. The tournament was in 2009, the nationals at Buckeye. Yvonne calls me about, I don't know, maybe 3 weeks before, maybe a month, and says, Hilary, there's a sport called pickleball. You got to Google it. I think, you know, we'd have fun playing it. And I say, okay, Yvonne, I've heard of it before. I'm going to go Google it. I Google it, I look, and I think, gee, I grew up playing a game from 4 years old on called paddle tennis that looks awfully similar to pickleball. And I call back Yvonne right away, and I say, Yvonne, I'm in. And we fly out there, and she shows me some shots, and I just fell in love with the game right there. And for me to play with Yvonne is like playing with myself or my sister. I mean, it's so comfortable, win or lose. You know, everybody's a little nervous, but when you play with somebody that you admire and like so much, and I know that Yvonne tries to the nth degree on everything she does, whether it's a card game, time's up, right? Or anything. I know that Yvonne is right there with me no matter what. And we have come through from being on the very bottom of a match, probably being on a switch on the game 15, which you have to win, in some double dip type situations. We've been in big, huge tournaments where we've been down at the crossover at about 0-8. And Yvonne and I go to the other side and we just talk about, you know what, we've been giving them too many errors, or we need to change our strategy. And we do it, and we have, you know, we just try to plug away 1 point at a time. And that is a good partner that is patient enough to stay with you and fight it out with you. And we have had, those are my favorite wins of all time with you, Yvonne, is the ones that we have fought out and come back at the brink of losing, and we come back and do it. I mean,
I'm crying.
Yeah, Yvonne's the reason I'm even here in the Hall of Fame. She's the reason I played pickleball. And when I got into the sport in 2009, and then we started, you know, we won the Women's Open in 2010, and 11, we hit kind of a thunderstorm of a team that had not wanted to lose the year before, called Alex Hamner and Jen LaCour, who do have a few years on us, right, Yvonne?
They do.
Anyway, they took it and they didn't stop with it for many, many years, as you know. But we have, I think, almost always won our age group in nationals. I don't know one year that we haven't won at least one event in nationals, which is probably a record in itself. But also, I had a family situation that occurred to me, a tragedy in 2013, where we lost a child. And my husband said, and nationals was coming up like in 2 weeks. And I thought about not going to pickleball because, you know, just, I didn't know what to do really. And my husband, who I've been married to for, what is it, honey, maybe 43 years now, who's always been supportive of me in every sport I've done. I haven't, all those things you read, Andy, I wouldn't be able to do if it hadn't been for my sweet husband, who's, you know, looking at people's eyes, and he's an optometrist, and he's going about his work, and I've got to, you know, leave him back there, and I'm off doing my fun stuff. And so I want to thank you, honey, for always being supportive of me in all my athletics, because if you hadn't been, I would not be the person that I am and have achieved the goals that I wanted to achieve. So I love you and thank you for that, honey. But getting back to this tragedy. So my husband said, just go ahead and play it. Maybe it'll be good for you. So, and by the way, Yvonne had been right there by my side when this happened. She flew into town and she was with me the whole time through throwing my daughter's ashes in the water and everything else. And so my husband says, go play it. And so I flew out to Buckeye, and all the friends and all the people, Alex and Jen, we would always sit under, and with the Hackenbergs, always sit under this certain umbrella at Buckeye and just be friendly and fun and have a good time. And all the people that came up to me and supported me and gave me the support that I really needed during that time is something I will never forget and be so thankful for, because other people came up to me who had had similar circumstances, Gail Dacey and other people who had lost a child, and they came up to me, and I probably never learned any of this about their situation had it not happened to me. And they were just there for me, and they gave me so much support. So this sport has done a lot more than just you'd think of me winning a few titles here and there. It's really helped me get through a lot of things that would have been very, very hard for me to get through, probably, unless I had all your support in all. And so that's something I just wanted to mention. But I want to thank, other than Yvonne, who obviously is the #1 person I'm thanking for my pickleball awards and everything else. I want to thank Larry Moon for playing with me in so many nationals and carrying me through. He's an unbelievable player, and I probably couldn't have won the 4 mixed nationals that I won with him without him by my side. I want to thank Mike Stahl. Mike Stahl, we got a national title together, and we also won a Tournament of Champions. So thank you, Mike. I knew Mike from paddle tennis, and so it was kind of a friendship that we could carry on. So I'm grateful to you, Mike. I'm grateful to you, Mike. I'd also like to thank Scott Moore for playing with me. And obviously, when you play with Scott Moore, there's not a lot to do. You just don't want to miss a ball. So I'm in my little corner, but Scott does his wonders, and we won a Tournament of Champions there. Stephanie, have you played with him? You're giving me a laugh like you have. Yes, okay, So I want to thank my mixed partners. I want to thank all my opponents, especially the opponents that I play in singles. I've always thought that women's single, and Stephanie and I have played against each other. Stephanie beat me in Huntsman or something. Anyway, it was a fall brawl. But anyway, my opponents in women's singles, you have to be kind of a workhorse, and you have to, it's all on your shoulders, and you have no one to blame but yourself. And it takes a lot of kind of guts to get out there and do it. And, it takes a wear and tear on your body. It's tough. There's always the ups and downs. It always goes through your head. Oh, I'm going to lose this match. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But that feeling always comes into you somewhere in those 2 out of 3 games for sure. And I compete a lot against Deb Harrison. She meets me in the final a lot. She's a good competitor. I'm going to put a shout out to Barb Wintraub. She's always in there fighting away in any singles tournaments. Sarah Gaines was a good competitor. I'm probably leaving out some singles players that I play here that are good. And I'm sorry if I am, my mind's going blank, but kudos to everybody, every woman, even man, that gets out there and plays singles. I always felt that singles helped me in my doubles game because I'm getting twice as many shots usually. There's more pressure because it's just me out there, and it's always helped. Sometimes when I wake up in the morning and I know I have to play a singles match, I go, why did I enter singles? But then after it's over, do you feel the same way, Stephanie? After it's over, it gives me so much satisfaction that you know, I remember why I did, but, you know, it's always a little iffy there. But so anyway, this whole game and getting in with Jim Hackenberg, who is the fiercest competitor. Oh my God. Even, that's why I'm going to tell you right now, Jim, I hate to practice with you because you want to beat me so bad. I said, oh my God. But anyway, he is a fierce competitor. He's very deserving of the Hall of Fame, and I'm glad he's in here. And I know his wife will be sitting there with a jacket on next year, hopefully. And Alex, who's my good buddy, I've stayed at her house. I've stayed at Jen's house. I got to play a tournament a couple years ago with Alex because my partner hurt herself. And by golly, after 2 points, they let Alex come in as my partner. And my opponents were so funny because they said, oh, Hilary, go get another partner. That's fine with us if you continue to play. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to see if Alex can play. So I go get Alex, and we go up to the opponents now who don't know I'm going to get somebody as good as Alex. And they go, I go, oh yeah, I found somebody. And they go, oh great, who is it? And I go, it's Alex Hamner. And their faces just wouldn't drop. But anyway, so that was great. And of the people in the Hall of Fame, I've played with so many. I've played with Enrique in the Nationals. I've of course played against you, Steve. I've played with, not in Nationals, yeah, even with the Nationals, with Yoda, Mark Friedenberg. So all these names that I see that are in there are so great. I also want to mention Fran Meyer, my buddy Fran, because Fran was the first person ever I called when Yvonne told me, let's go play in 2009. So I figured I need a paddle. And so I kind of went online, or I don't know where I went, but I knew there were a lot of different things to choose from. So I kind of called Pickleball Stuff, and who answers but the owner, Fran Meyer. And so Fran and I are talking, and she goes, well, have you ever played? And I go, no, I haven't played at all. I said, but I kind of like a heavy paddle and this and that. Anyway, I got a Spike Christensen paddle, and I played with that thing for a long time. So thank you, Spike. It was a plain white, and I thought I was going to get something that didn't have a lot of writing on it. And Spikes didn't have a lot of writing on it. And I grew to love it so much. And he started making them about 9.5 ounces, which is what I wanted, because I grew up playing with about a 17 to 18 ounce paddle in my other sports. And even Yvonne, our platform tennis rackets were about, yeah, I just weighed it.
Super heavy.
17 to 18 ounces. I picked that thing up now. It's like I can't even believe I ever used to read that thing. But my pickleball paddle, as most of you know, because I get grief for it sometimes, is over 10 ounces. But I feel that a heavier paddle, here I am, you know, it just helps me get some touch with it and helps me with defense, because the older I get, I get weaker, and it kind of allows me to do less work for, you know, what I'm putting into it. So, but anyway, Fran, thank you very much for helping me out with my first paddle. And I know you've always been on my side and being very supportive of me in my game. And I think you probably put that first gold medal I ever got around my neck there at Nationals in 2009. So I thank you. And I'm with you, Alex, as far as being honored to be put in with Bill Bell, the third inventor of the game. I got to meet Barney McCallum, which was super cool, because a lot of these people, well, the three inventors are no longer around. So I feel very fortunate that I, through Jen and Alex, got to meet Barney McCallum. And you're right, he is a flirt and a fun guy and just a sweetheart of a guy. And I met Sid Williams before he passed along, when he was in the Hall of Fame, the year he got in. And so I'm just so grateful to Pickleball, and I try to spread the word whenever I can and get new people into the game. I'm amazed that there's still some tennis players that go, oh no, it'll hurt my tennis, because no, it doesn't. It only helps your tennis game. My husband and I actually won a gold medal at the USTA husband and wife like 1 or 2 years ago at the most. 2 years ago, because this year was COVID, but on the grass courts at Mission Hills. And I came straight from nationals to play that. And all it does is help your tennis game. It doesn't hurt it. You know, if it's a risky game like racquetball, badminton, squash, maybe those games are affected a little bit. But games that have the same stroke as in tennis, like pickleball and paddle tennis and pop tennis and platform tennis, they all just help one another. And the more you can know about a racket game, the more it helps the other, strategy-wise and everything else. So in closing, I am very, very honored that you put me in. I'm glad I got in this year because I think every year gets tougher and tougher. I feel very thankful that Yvonne got me started in 2009 when I did. And we've gotten to see the sport evolve, Yvonne, haven't we? Oh my gosh. In these 11, 12 years, it's just skyrocketed with the ability that's come into the game and the numbers that have come into the game. And I just feel like we were at the beginning of it all, even though we weren't. 65 was the beginning, but the first nationals being 2009, you know, when I began, it seems like the beginning, obviously, to me. And I want to thank you all on RIF's committee for selecting me and for the nomination committee. And I want to congratulate all my fellow Hall of Famers this year and all the Hall of Famers that are in prior to me. It's a great club. We're all honored to be in it. And I know we've only got greater nominees to put in every other year from here on out, because it's just, we're getting a much bigger pool to pick from. And I thank you, Riff, very much. Here's my ring. You can see it.
Nice.
And obviously my jacket. Here's my Hall of Fame, my calling cards. I think I've given them out. I don't have any more. No, I'm kidding. I think I got enough calling cards to last me till I die. That's, you know, I'm hoping to live to 100, so I have enough. Anyway, thank you very much. Hi, Jen. Thanks, Jen. I'm honored to be what there are 4 women right now in the Hall of Fame. Franny, Jen, Alex, and myself. I love you all. And that one sitting next to Jim Hackenberg is going to be in to join me. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good job, Hilary.
Thank you.
All right. Our inductee is
Show it again, Hilary. Show Yvonne your bottle, Hilary.
Oh, yeah. Yvonne's seen this bottle before.
Nice.
That's great.
There's really only iced tea in it, Hall of Famers.
All right. Well, I'm pleased to present our final inductee for 2020, Jim Hackenberg. And before going over Jim's accomplishments, one of the things that I think we've all learned with our 3 inductees that have already been presented is the importance that the Pickleball Hall of Fame places, not just in the accomplishments that you've gotten on the court or the contributions that you've made, but the respect factor that each one of our inductees have and they've earned from all of their peers. We certainly see that in the touching speech that Hilary just gave, the same with Alex and with the family representing Bill Bell. And I'd like to just talk for just a moment on a personal level, because some of you may already be aware of this, but I've had some heated conversations with Jim Hackenberg over the phone. And the heated conversations were because he didn't think he was worthy of being in the Hall of Fame at this time. And he felt there were so many others that should be in before him. And it took about all the convincing and salesmanship that I have to finally get Jim to cool down and to recognize that those decisions are really made by the people that make up the Pickleball Hall of Fame. And certainly Jim's accomplishments, which I'm going to mention just in just a minute here, exemplify everything on the court, but more importantly, the respect factor that I have is for Jim off the court. All the things that he's done to help promote the game. He and his lovely wife, Yvonne, who we've heard so much about, and I give kudos to. Next year, it will be Yvonne's year. But I think everybody recognizes the people that were in the Hall of Fame this year certainly are deserving, and every person that is been nominated, I'm sure will get their due date. Last year, you know, we were chatting, how could Jen get in and not Alex? Well, Alex got in this year. And so this is how the Hall of Fame works. But Jim Hackenberg, as far as some of the things that he's done off the court, he's a founding member of the IPTPA. He's on the advisory board for Pickleball Magazine. He's been an ambassador for the USAPA for many years. He was a tournament director for the Great Lakes Regional Tournament. He's a founding member of this particular Pickleball Hall of Fame, and he's been on the Rules Review Committee for the USAPA. I've witnessed Jim, you know, giving free lessons to many, many people as they travel across the country with his lovely wife, Yvonne. Many of the awards that Jim has been able to accomplish, he shared with Yvonne playing mixed doubles. I think one of the things that's outstanding about Jim, as with Hilary, is that at Jim's age, he's oftentimes competed not 10, 15, but sometimes 20 years with players younger than him, and has always, you know, gotten into the medal round. I mentioned that this particular class has 125 gold medals at the biggest tournaments in the world. Jim alone has 52. 52 gold medals from USAPA Nationals, the US Open, and Huntsman. I mean, that is just unbelievable to me. 2018, I was making a bit of a run and thought I was doing all that at the US Open, and got a chance to face off for the very first time with Jim Hackenberg and his partner, good friend of mine, Teddy Meyer. And we were just kind of cruising along in the at the US Open and getting into the final round, which I was thrilled at, my first time getting into the finals. And coming across Jim Hackenberg, I now understand why everybody says he's the fiercest competitor around. I mean, they blew us out of the gym or off the court. It was embarrassing. But as soon as we got off the court, it was hugs and tapping paddles, and Jim was as respectful as could be, thinking that maybe, you know, he just squeaked by with a three-game win and got by 11-9. I think the score was more like 11-2, 11-3, but nevertheless, it was a pleasure for me to be on the court with Jim, and he's an incredible man. He's a loving husband, a loving father. I tell this story all the time as I travel around the world, and one of the things that I was able to witness a couple of years ago, it didn't involve Jim, but it involved his wife Yvonne, and it might as well have been Jim and three other people. But I witnessed Yvonne playing pickleball with three other ladies, and the ladies were Yvonne's mother, who I think was about 90 or 91 at the time, Yvonne's daughter, and granddaughter. 4 generations of Hackenbergs playing pickleball, all together, laughing, competing, bonding. The greatest thing about our sport, beyond, you know, the competition and everything else, is how it brings families together, how the social aspects are so powerful that we have extended families. I mean, I can hardly get my own son to invite me to his house, yet I can go almost anywhere in the world and get invited to people's houses, oftentimes for people that have never even met me before. It's pickleball is just an incredible, incredible environment. And much of that is because of people like Jim Hackenberg, people that came before Jim, the people like Hilary and Jen, and all of the Hall of Famers. It's such a privilege to honor them. And I'm just privileged to introduce Jim to say a few words about this day and being in the Pickleball Hall of Fame. So I'm turning it over to you, Jim.
Thank you. This has gone long enough, I think. They're still here. Okay.
They're still here.
Well, I want to thank Riff very much. Thank you for those kind words. Thank you for your nomination. Obviously, thanks to the Hall of Fame committees for this wonderful honor. And I also want to thank Fran Meyer for counseling me because, as Riff said, yeah, I did. I had a very hard time accepting this honor when I thought there were so many other more deserving individuals in the game. And so, yeah, I struggled with it, and Fran helped me through it because she went through something like this a couple of years ago. So thank you, Fran, because I may have denied. But so I just want to say it's a tremendous honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame with so many great players, and congratulations to Hilary and Alex, and to be in with Mr. Bell at this time is also a great honor. But when I look at that Hall of Fame committee, especially those players, the Billy Jacobson, the Enrique, Mark Friedenberg, Dan Gabinak, Alex and Jen and Hilary, and man, I look at that and I'm going, what am I doing there? But they're all such outstanding players. And in addition to that, you know, Jen and Yoda, I mean, they're also authors. I mean, they've written books. And I thought to myself, all right, if I'm going to be in the Hall of Fame, I better do something like that. So I have written a book. It's a short story. It's a short book. And I've got the manuscript here and it's ready. I'm going to take it to the publishers here very soon. It should be out very soon, but it's a short story, a short book that you could probably read in a day easily. Maybe an hour. Probably a couple minutes and you'll be through it. But I just like to share it with you a little bit. It's, I don't know if you can see this, but it is, you probably can't see that very well, but it's How to Win Titles and Make It to the Pickleball Hall of Fame. And it's by little Jimmy Hackenberg. And I'm using a pen name because I think this would be good for all skill levels, and maybe you might want to use it as something you can read to kids at night. You know, it's a kid's book, so it's pretty short. The first chapter, you know, I cut right to the chase. I know Jen and some of them, you know, it takes a while to get into these books, but I like to go right to it. So chapter 1 is the secret, okay? Now the secret to this kind of success is get great partners.
Exactly.
Get great partners. Now I have on my list here some of the big tournaments, Paul Coletta, Scott Lennon, Steve Cole, Ted Meyer, Dan McLaughlin, Mike Stahl, Larry Moon, Greg Whitfield, Mark Friedenberg. I mean, these people have carried me every single time. I mean, I call them the thoroughbreds. You know, I just ride them. There's Secretariat, there's Seabiscuit, there's Man of War. You know, I give them all a name because they're all just great players, and I just ride them hard. And in addition to these great, you know, these big titles, or the titles here, I also have had the pleasure of playing with some other greats that either, well, they will be in the Hall of Fame. Wes Gabrielson is right there. I played with Wes Gabrielson in the year that he won every single tournament, except the one I played with him in. He couldn't carry me. He wasn't quite good enough to carry me through that one. We lost in the finals to a very good team. But Wes, I'm sorry. I still apologize. I'll always get away from me. I'll always remember that. And but I played with a great Steve Wong, who I strongly believe belongs in the Hall of Fame. Just an outstanding competitor, great guy, contributor, just a tremendous individual. Steve, I love playing with him. But I played with other great people too, like Tyler Sheffield. I played with him. I played with Byron Tressel, who will be a contributor at least in the Hall of Fame for all he's done. Rodney and Josh Grubbs. And my homeboys back home, Pat Sinicki, Bob Graber, Jimmer Vanderbilt. I mean, that's what it's about. So chapter 1 is get a great partner. You're golden. just get a great partner. And as I look at some of these people who are watching and viewing, Andy and Steve and Alex and Hilary and oh, geez, and Wes, I've lost to all of you. I've lost to all of them at least once or twice. I mean, it's no excuse. Now, so I think I've named everyone that's really important as far as my success. Oh, wait a minute. There's chapter 2. Chapter 2 is the real secret. And, you know, I called all those guys the thoroughbreds. Well, I can't call this person a horse. I'm going to call this person the goat.
I know exactly what you're going to
The goat. The goat. The greatest of all time partner. And that is, of course, this gal right here. This gal. I'm nothing without this woman in my life and in pickleball. I mean, she's the rock of the team. It's no coincidence that 2 Hall of Famers this year have the same partner. I think that speaks for itself at how great Yvonne is. I mean, when you're playing mixed doubles, Hilary said it, you know, they're going at the woman. So she's carried me to many a title in mixed doubles. And so it's all about her as far as that
There's
goes.
some low IQ people who go at Yvonne.
Yeah. So look for it soon at a dollar store near you. That book should be coming out. I don't think Amazon wants it, but it should be available. But seriously, I also want to acknowledge like Earl Hill and the ambassador program, because the ambassadors are what got us started. I'd like to give credit to the late Bob Northrup, and then there's Melissa Muha, who really got pickleball going in Kalamazoo, Michigan. If we hadn't met them and been introduced to the game, this never would have happened. So we're grateful to the ambassador. And that's why we've always tried to pay it forward a little bit ourselves. And that's why we think it is so important to do some of the things that we've been able to do, with whether it be refereeing or just helping out at a tournament or being involved in some aspect of the USAPA or the IPTPA, anything like that we can do that just helps promote the sport. We feel that's very important, and we're proud to do that. And finally, which is what everyone likes to hear after a long speech, what I would like to say is, I know it's a cliche that pickleball has changed their life, but it's actually quite true for us as well. I mean, and the way it's changed our life in the most positive way is the friendships. Absolutely. You just look around, the people we met, the friends we have, they're all pickleball players now. They're just the nicest people, the greatest people you'll ever meet. We've been to places that we never would have been to before, these other countries, thanks to Audrey Phillips and her tremendous pickleball adventure trips. There's just so many things that we're thankful for, and pickleball has really given us more than we've given it. So I'm very grateful to the Hall of Fame, everybody. It's an honor to be included with such a great group of people. I'm extremely thankful, and I thank all of you. I thank all of my partners and all the wonderful people of pickleball. Thank you.
Okay, a couple of closing comments and an announcement as well. First, I wanted to give a shout out and thanks to Anna Copley, one of the partners over at Pickleball Central. When the Pickleball Hall of Fame was just an idea, and before we actually formed, I reached out to Anna about 5 years ago and said that, you know, we're thinking about putting together a Pickleball Hall of Fame, and I think it's real important right from the start that whether we have plaques or photos, I'm not quite sure what, that we have a place where people can go and they can see who the inductees are. And Anna and her partners were gracious enough to host us, you know, since our start back in 2017. And they informed us early this year that they've done well, they're expanding. And so that area of their facility is going to be taken up. And so that area is not going to be available for the Pickleball Hall of Fame any longer. So I just wanted to first, you know, say thanks once more to Pickleball Central and to the Copley family. However, when I first reached out to Anna, I made it very clear that this particular setup was simply going to be temporary. We did plan of having a brick and mortar facility, hopefully one that would be able to be seen by players on a regular basis. And I'm very pleased to announce to this group today, and there'll be a press release going out tomorrow, that by this time next year, our next induction ceremony is going to be at Austin, Texas, where we will have a 30 by 60. Does that dimension sound familiar to you guys? Pickleball Hall of Fame museum. And that museum will be there to honor you for in perpetuity. And I hope that we outgrow that facility, and that facility needs to double or triple in size. But we plan on having all of our inductees and all of the plaques and photos and everything that's currently over at Pickleball Central moved over to this new facility in Austin. It's going to be a phenomenal facility, simply because there's going to be 32 courts there. There's 4 banks of 4 courts, and then there's 8 courts that are totally covered. There's room for 100 courts. This has been a partnership between the Pickleball Hall of Fame and a gentleman by the name of Tim Klitsch. And it's very, very exciting to have an actual facility in a museum where we can begin to gather all of the historical documents and newspapers and videos. We'll have a video room. We'll have obviously a room for all of the historical documents, and then we'll have one for all of our inductees. So there were 2 main objectives that I wrote down as a strategic plan within 5 years for the Pickleball Hall of Fame. And that really is the big one. I wanted to make certain that we would have an actual museum. This has all been paid for. It's actually is going to happen. We're going to do some fundraising to try to get some great interior design and exhibit design work, so that the interior is going to match the class and the showcase the inductees, which is what the Pickleball Hall of Fame has always been about. So you guys are the first to know. I hope that you're as excited as I am. We're going to have tournaments there on a regular basis, where we're going to be doing our actual on-court session. Obviously, this year we weren't able to do an on-court session. We've had it at the USAPA Nationals for the past 3 years. I'm informing you today that we're going to be having a Hall of Fame Open, Pickleball Hall of Fame Open. It'll be in the fall next year. We will be inviting all of our inductees. We anticipate this is going to be an extremely popular event. We're brainstorming a number of really cool things that are going to be done there that have never been done before. So history is going to continue to evolve. Our sport is going to continue to grow, and the Pickleball Hall of Fame is going to be here to honor people just like our 2020 class that we're so proud to have joined the other inductees. So thank you very much for attending today. Congratulations to all of our 2020 inductees. And I hope to see all of you on the courts real soon. Hopefully COVID is in the rearview mirror so we can actually hug rather than just do it virtually. So
Thank you, Riff.
thank you.
Thank you so much.
you.
Great job. That's exciting news.
Very exciting.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to travel that far.
Yeah, you're the closest.
You are. All right. Well, that's it for this evening, unless anybody else has got anything that they want to add.
Congratulations, everybody.
Bye,
Congratulations.
Oh, hi, Glenn.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's play that tournament next year.
You got
Yeah, definitely.
it. You got it.
Let's get our entry in early.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye, you guys.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, ladies.
Bye-bye.